Welcome to the Muscles and Mindset Revolution, the podcast for ambitious women who want to build strength, feel confident, and lose fat for good without counting calories, doing endless cardio, or BS quick fixes. I'm your host, Ann Jones, certified life coach, personal trainer, and mindset expert. After over 15 years in the fitness industry, I know the real key to lasting change isn't just what you do, it's how you think. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're back, thank you so much. What if I told you that discipline isn't punishment? It is not about rigid rules or being hard on yourself. It is about freedom. We need a structure. In today's episode, we're going to redefine what discipline means and show you how to build habits that you actually love sticking to and that feel life-giving to you. Most women think they need more motivation to succeed or be consistent, but the truth is motivation comes and goes. It fades. But when you have a loving discipline and a structure, that's where the real magic happens. And the reason that I call this term loving discipline is because I strongly believe that we need some discipline, we need structure. I would love for you to do it from a place of self-love because you do these things because you care about and value yourself. It is absolutely not push, no pain, no gain, willpower. We need more willpower. It is not that kind of discipline. So that's why I call it loving discipline. If this resonates with you, do not miss the Loving Discipline Challenge that we're starting next week. It is free. It launches on Monday, February 10th. It is all about creating sustainable habits that you love without perfection or burnout. I guarantee you will be successful in this challenge. You can sign up in the show notes. But right now, let's dive in. The misconception is that discipline equals restriction, punishment, harshness, more willpower. Society, especially in the fitness industry, it's getting better, but it really can glorify being hard on yourself to achieve results. This is a very masculine, shame-based motivational style, which I have not ever seen to work long-term for women. It's just, we just don't respond to it. We can for a short period of time. If we think of like yin and yang, it's like too much yang and it can't be sustained. It leads to burnout or other health issues. And so I want you to reframe discipline is self-respect and freedom. It is not punishment. It is about showing up for yourself in a way that feels good and sustainable. For example, I know this is the lamest example ever, but like brushing your teeth daily is a habit, right? It's not a punishment. And the problem with just relying on motivation, I need motivation, it's fleeting, right? Some days you got it and some days you don't. Waiting for motivation always leads to inconsistency. Always, because we're not always going to feel motivated. I don't always feel motivated. I have found a program and a system that works for me. I have lots of fun in the gym. I enjoy the foods that I eat and I don't always feel like making, like for example, today, I kind of have like a thing with myself to get my veggies in. If I don't have like the portion of vegetables that I want in my lunch or dinner, I will just make a side salad. That's something that I learned growing up. And, you know, when you're having leftovers, I had leftover chicken pad thai that I had made for lunch today. And I was like, I need some more veg with this. There's just a little bit of red pepper in here. I made a little side salad, but every time that happens, or if I have a sandwich, I'm like, I don't really want to do it. Like, it would be easier to not do, but I do because that's the structure that I've created. And I really don't want this to come off as like a rules thing. We can have guidelines and structure for ourselves, but when we put in rules and hard yeses and nos and black and white, it doesn't feel very good. So that's why I like the term loving discipline. It's like we have a discipline, but it's with love. It's for us. We have a structure. The structure is flexible. The plan is flexible. I always say we have a plan. The plan is flexible. We have a plan. The plan is flexible. We don't have no plan, but we don't have a plan that is rigid because that's not realistic. So this term loving discipline, it's about showing up for yourself no matter how you feel because you love yourself, not from a place of I have to or punishment. And this makes it easier to create small, consistent actions over time. The key difference, if we look at harsh discipline, is where like all or nothing mindset lives, coming from a place of guilt. That's where I have to burn it off because I ate this thing. That's harsh discipline and perfectionism. There's no room for me to go out for brunch with my friends. So this used to be me, right? There's no time. I can't go to the deli for brunch with my roommates on Saturday morning because I'm going to spin at 7:30 and that's what I do. I love the discipline of having a 7:30 a.m. spin class. And if we make it so rigid that we can never opt out to have fun, that's not going to feel good after a duration of time. So that's why I say we need discipline. Plan's got to be flexible. It's got to be loving. Loving discipline is more of a gentle consistency, self compassion, flexibility. So harsh discipline is, I missed one workout this week. I'm a failure. I'm starting all over. I never wanted to hear you say I'm starting all over. You are never starting all over. First of all, if you just keep going with small actions, you never have to start over. But starting over is just a perception. Starting over gives the impression that your health and fitness journey has a beginning time and an end time. And it does not. This is your life, my friend. So a more loving approach is like, I missed a workout, but I showed up twice for myself, and that's progress. And I'm going to put in a structure and a plan so that next week I do 3 times, but I'm not going to like poop all over myself if I miss it. If we're being inconsistent as a result of we're just never doing it, then we have to re-examine the structure. It's not working. But if it's a one-off, you got to let that go, because it's really progress over perfection that creates long-term success. So as usual, my recommendation to you is going to be to forget perfection, to focus on messy consistency. Do it messy. That's how I literally get anything done. All the best things, because I know myself, and I know I shared this with you guys before in the all or nothing episode. That's what held me back from making this podcast for 5 years, as I had all these beliefs about how good it had to be and what it had to look like and sound like and what people wanted to hear, and all these beliefs, instead of just doing it messy and getting it done. So in a fitness context, a 10-minute workout 5 times a week beats aiming for a 60-minute workout and never doing it. 50 minutes versus the 60 minutes you never do wins every time. And not to mention, I always love this example. If you want to become a runner, right? And you have this plan to run 4 times a week, but you really only ever seem to get 2 runs a week, you are still a person who runs. You are a runner. You are a person who runs 2 times a week. It's just the language and the thought behind it, which you are very much in charge of. Here are some ways to build habits that stick. And if you aren't already, make sure you go to the show notes and get on the free Loving Discipline Challenge. We're starting on Monday. Super simple challenge. And the whole goal is to make it achievable. I am personally going to hold you accountable to something that you do consistently over 5 days next week. There's no way you can fail. I'm not going to let you fail. When my high achievers get to do 2 things. But here are 3 ways that we're going to do it. We're going to break goals into small, manageable steps. We are looking for a 1% improvement. Yes, a 1% improvement. And when your brain says that's not enough, that's cool. You just see that thought like, oh yeah, I know, I hear you, because I know you want really big things, and this is how we're going to get there. I see it. I'm not going to fall for it, because I know that going for 100% improvement leads to paralyzing and no action. The second thing we're going to do is use habit stacking. There's a couple of ways in which you can habit stack. One of the habit stacking formulas is to pair a new habit with an existing one. For example, stretching while you're waiting for your coffee to brew. Or I have clients who will I will do this. I drink my lemon water or my apple cider vinegar hot water while I'm waiting for the coffee to brew. Or I meditate while the coffee is brewing. I mean, coffee's always brewing. Or I will do my nervous system regulation when I'm waiting for my daughter to finish gymnastics, instead of trying to do one more thing in. I was in Las Vegas last week with my mastermind group, and we're talking about creating content, right? This is our job, is to create wonderful content for y'all. And one of my lovely mastermind buddies was like, I just got to do it. She's like, I'm consistent with it when I do it right before I work out. And she's like, I'm just going to make it a habit stack. Like, I just post before I work out. So we do it too, in all the ways. Because for us, working out is the thing that's going to happen, right? Maybe posting is not. So for you, maybe working out is not. I used to do it when I drove my daughter to daycare. And my life was set up a little bit differently. I would drive her to daycare. I would come home. I would work out. I would not get on my computer, because then I wouldn't start working out. That was just the process of things. And it made it easy. I didn't have to think or negotiate with myself, because that's what was happening at that time. And that's where the discipline and the structure is super helpful. But we do it in a loving way and a realistic way. The third way that we're going to help you to build habits that stick is by planning for obstacles. My clients know we always have a plan A and a plan B. Sometimes we have a plan C. So it's great if you have this vision of exactly how you want your day, your week, your workout, your nutrition plan to unroll. We have a plan. The plan is flexible. So we build flexibility into habits to stay consistent. I always do this in my head when I'm traveling, because it's helpful. So I'm like, okay, ideal scenario is I get to eat this at this time. But if I can't find this or I can't do this, then I'm going to do this or I'm going to have this. I'll do it with workouts as well. I don't so much anymore because I'm pretty consistent now at getting my full workout in. But especially when my daughter was younger, I would have a 45-minute version and then I would have the 20-minute version, which is if she wakes up early from nap. I also had 2 babies at one time because I nannied a baby at the same time when they were very little, and I worked out and ran my whole business during their naps. So that was the discipline part, but it had to be loving because they were babies and sometimes woke up. So I would plan for such a thing. And if it was a 10-minute workout, it was a 10-minute workout, but it was not a 0-minute workout. So literally plan for obstacles, have your plan A, B, and C. And as I was saying, we do this in Muscles and Mindset often for our clients who we have worked with them, and time is the obstacle, not mindset, not inconsistency, not excuses, because some of our clients are truly busy commuting, kids, they're executives, like truly busy. Not like we can make time and we don't. So often we will write them like a short on time workout option. So it's like, here's the workout we want you to do most of the time. And when that's not going to pan out, here's a short on time option. Have a plan B. Do the same for your meals because the result comes from embracing imperfection. Before this podcast, I recorded next week's podcast with my husband. And one of the things we talked about was how we do it all, because he works full-time shift work, plus he's gone for his second job a good portion of the time. I run a very busy business. We have a little girl who has her own activities and we both work out. Like, these are all important things to us. And so how do we balance all of that? Well, we'll talk about it on next week's episode. As we were talking about it, and I was like, man, this really sounds like a lot. I kind of identified a couple of the biggest things that truly have been the most helpful for us. Aside from communication, having that meal plan and ordering those groceries is key. That is a dial mover. If that doesn't happen, it's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. But that's one big thing that's super helpful. But as I said to my husband when we were talking about it, I was like, we also have just had to realize that it's not going to be perfect. Our house is not always going to be perfectly clean. I'm not always going to wash the sheets on Saturday or Sunday. Not everything's going to be perfect all the time. You have to embrace that messiness for the sake of whatever it is that you're looking for: joy, connection, health, fitness, sleep. We can't do it all the time. To get into the perfectionist thinking that we can is truly just to create our own suffering. Real life, real results come from messy consistency, embracing the imperfection, and then celebrating it. I have to say, I've come very far in terms of my domestic prowess in the past 4 years because I had to, and it felt really bad at the time. We had a toddler. My husband was gone 60% of the time. I was in this big new house with all these things going on, and it was really tough. And I feel so good that I can say that I got through that. It was super messy and I learned so much. So celebrate the progress. That is progress. That was not perfect and it is not perfect now, but I'm happy to celebrate like that woman who got through those years. Every small step matters. Next week, we are kicking off the free Loving Discipline Challenge. It is a free 5-day challenge designed to help ambitious women like yourself to create habits that you love and stick with them for good. And as I mentioned, we're going to be with you the whole way, and there are prizes to be won. I'm giving away $100 gift cards for my local people here on the Sunshine Coast. I'm giving away $100 beauty gift cards. I'm giving away a one-on-one breakthrough coaching session. You're going to learn how to use loving discipline and structure to build a lifestyle that you love your way. And I'm happy to coach you through this. We're going to have a private community, exclusive private community for this challenge where that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'm going to teach you how to focus on self-love, self-respect, and messy consistency for long-term success. I promise it's fun. And this is all leading up to Valentine's Day. So by Valentine's Day, when the challenge ends, I want you to celebrate the progress that you've made. So join now in the show notes and take the first step towards building strength, confidence, and consistency that lasts. Discipline does not have to feel like punishment or torture, and fitness should not either. When it is rooted in self-love and self-respect, it feels like freedom. It feels easy, I promise you. So if you are ready to stop relying on discipline and willpower, embrace messy consistency, and build habits that truly work for you, please join the Loving Discipline Challenge today. Thank you so much for tuning into the Muscles and Mindset Revolution. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a 5-star review. That's free for you to do, and it's super helpful. I will see you next week where my special guest is my husband, Matt. Here for you, Mina.